personality of Godhead Krishna and emphasizes on his unimaginable, inconceivable power and energy. God's transcendental abode is called Goloka, where he has established his spiritual kingdom, which is very, very far away, one can think of. Even the powerful demigods cannot reach him. Further, as referred here from the Brahma Samhita 5.37, further describes the Lord's transcendental abode is known as Goloka, where he remains and engages in his pastimes. He does have a personal existence with a personal form. Hence, we have to understand Lord is not Nirakar without form. He has a personal, eternal form. Although God fixed in his transcendental abode, the absolute truth is quicker than the mind of the human being and can surpass all others who are running. Through his inconceivable potencies, he can simultaneously reach anywhere of his creative energy. Since his energy is diffused everywhere like the heat and light that comes out from the fire, the energy and the Lord are non-different. One should not mistake these energies for the supreme truth, and also should not wrongly consider that he loses his personal existence. This fourth mantra clearly states that the absolute truth is ultimately the absolute person with a personal eternal form. The mantra 5 says the Bhagavatas know God's inconceivable potencies and thus understand that God is both personal and impersonal. We should not take it for granted that because we cannot see God with our eyes, which is imperfect vision, Lord has no personal form. Isopanisad refutes this argument by declaring that Lord is far away and very, very near also. God is not a mortal being and will appear in material nature. Krishna, who is known as the Govinda, is a supreme Godhead. He has a spiritual personal form of existence which is eternal. His body is Sat Sit Ananda, where Sach means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda means blissful. He is described as Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. In addition to it, Satchidananda does not mean impersonal. It is the personal form of Krishna in Goloka. When considering the material world, Lord, although fixed in his abode Goloka and the source of all his creative energy, if wants to appear before us in the form of material energy, he easily converts this energy into spiritual energy without being influenced by the qualities of the material energy. He is nirguna with no traces of the material qualities. The absolute truth appears in the form of Archa Vigraha, a deity made of earth, stone, or wood. His personal form in the material world is Archa Vigraha. God has approved the rites for the devotees who wants to see him by means of material vision to accept their devotional service. This ideal form of worship is equal to the worshipping the Lord, which is also eternally existent. Lord Krishna reserves the right to not reveal himself to anyone and everyone, but will show himself to those souls who surrender to him. He does not become a formless entity at any time, for ultimately he is the eternal form. Lord Narasimha appeared within the pillar as the half-man, half-lion incarnation for the wish of his devotee Prahlada. Lord appears in order to vanquish the non-believers and protect the devotees. According to Brahma Samhita 5.35, which is referred here, it is said that Govinda, the primeval Lord, enters everything by his plenary vision. He enters the universe as well as all the atoms of the universe. He is outside in his breath form and he is within everything as Antaryami. As Antaryami, he witnesses everything and awards us the results of our actions, our karma pala. He expands everywhere like the heat and light that comes from the fire. Although there is oneness, the Lord in his personal form enjoys unlimitedly all the pleasures enjoyed by the tiny part and parcel entities. The purport of Mantra 7 refers Vedanta Sutra 1.1 1-2, Anandamayo Bhayasa. Every living being, including the Supreme Lord, are meant for eternal enjoyment. We should seek joy in the spiritual world where Lord enjoys with his associates. There is no trace of material qualities in the spiritual world also. Hence, Goloka and the Supreme Lord, Krishna's personal form, are nirguna with no trace of material qualities. Mantra 8 from Isopanisad says, Paryaga Chukram Akayam Avranam Ashnamiram Sudam Apapa Vidam. The above lines explains the description of the transcendental and eternal form of God. He is unembodied, which means that there is no difference between his body and soul. The personality of Godhead is omniscient, without veins, pure, and uncontaminated. The living entities in this world are embodied in material nature and work like a material machine. Their body is made of veins. There is a difference between the mind and the body. The Brahma Samhita 5.1, which is referred in Mantra 8 of Isopanisad, gives the same description of the personal Lord as Satchidananda Vigraha. He is the eternal form, fully representing transcendental existence, knowledge, and bliss. The Brahma Samhita 5.32 is also referred here. It is further stated that with each and every part of his body, he can do the work of other senses. This means that the Lord can walk with his hands, accept things with his legs, see with his hands and feet, eat with his eyes. In the Shruti mantras, it is also said that although the Lord has no hands and no legs like ours, he has a different type of hands and legs by which he can accept all that we offer to him and run faster than anyone. These points are confirmed in this eighth mantra, through the use of words Sukram, meaning omnipotent. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next. Navaneet Prabhu.
Prabhuji, you are mute.
Oh, sorry. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ready, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
1 second, stop. Okay, your time starts. Which question you have chosen?
Yeah. Explain in your own words how the process of spiritual life is given by Srila Prabhupada explains us to achieve a balanced program of spiritual and material knowledge.
Okay. So your time starts now.
Namah Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swami Namne Namah Acharya Padaya Nitai Kapapadaya Gaurakata Damadaya Nagra Gramatarine Namah Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Vishesha Shunyavadi Pashatadishitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada has given us a path of spiritual life which is meant for self-realization and material development. And this is needed to maintain the body in healthy condition so that we can reach our goal. That is Krishna. Ishopanishad mantra 11 says, Vidyamscha yas tad vedo bhayam saha. Meaning, one should understand both spiritual and material knowledge. Let's understand what is Vidya, what is Avidya, whose living entity and why he needs Vidya and Avidya, and what is the evidence that Upanishad is the absolute truth. Living entity is a marginal energy of the Supreme Lord. There are three kinds of energy: Para, Apara, and Tatastha. Para is the spiritual energy of the Lord, Apara is a material energy. But this living entity is a Tatastha, that's a marginal energy. The marginal energy of the living entity is a superior energy, but because he's prone to fall down from the inferior energy, he's called marginal energy. Basically, he's a superior energy. By the influence of the material energy, he's attached to the material energy, because of which his senses and his body is contaminated. And why would he need? Well, let's understand what is vidya and avidya. Vidya is a real knowledge of para prakriti, that's absolute knowledge, or Krishna, knowledge of Krishna. And avidya, the knowledge of, is a material knowledge or knowledge of material energy, or we can say it's a knowledge of Maya. So Vidya has to be learned from revealed scriptures, and one should take shelter of Vedas to get the real knowledge, or the Upanishads, which is nearer to knowledge. Now, what is the evidence that Upanishads, the mantra that I said, is it's is the truth, right? All knowledge in the material world that we get by research, by research of people, it's more of we get the knowledge from their imperfect senses, and which is not definite. So knowledge means which is definite. But what we get out of Upanishads is passed down by the parampara system, which is the definite knowledge, and that's absolute truth. How do we get this absolute truth? If one needs to go to, let's say, uh, needs to get a medical information, or uh, some suggestion on medical, he needs to go to a doctor, he cannot go to an engineer. Same way, if somebody wants to get a real knowledge, he has to go to a spiritual, bona fide spiritual master to know the knowledge of the Lord, who's seen the Lord himself. So one must approach a spiritual master in order to understand the transcendental message of the Vedas. Otherwise, he always remains in avidya. So there can be two kinds of advancement for any person. Right? Avidyam upasate, vidyayam rataha. Avidyam upasate meaning one who advances in science and material knowledge, and it gives a result of darkness. And vidyayam rataha meaning who's advancing in the spiritual knowledge, knowing the Vedas and serving the Lord. So why would somebody need both avidya and vidya? So let's understand what people do when they are entering the path of nescience or avidya. So when people go into the path of nescience, they always try to they want to become immortal. They become so material that they want to have a permanent life. They don't want to die. That's the actual path. Actual nature of material nature is, it is so cruel that no one can avoid death, no one can avoid disease, no one can avoid old age. So how much ever we can advance uh, uh, in the material world, we always cannot avoid all these three, and we have to go through this repeated cycle of birth and death. But always people try to be immortal. Like Hiranyakashipu was a most powerful materialist. He wants to uh, win over the death, and he did all kinds of plan, and finally he could not achieve it. Narsimhadev Bhagavan, where Lord took the form of Narsimhadev, and he killed Hiranyakashipu with all the conditions and all the plans that he made. So where are we, such tiny Hiranyakashipus of today, that we have all kinds of plan through avidya that we do? So always the path of avidya, or advancement in material knowledge, for sense gratification, always leads to the path of repeated birth and death. So now that avidya always leads to the path of repeated birth and death, and going to a sense gratification, should we avoid avidya altogether? No, no one needs to avoid it altogether. One needs to have both vidya and avidya side by side. Avoiding material knowledge is also a sign of ignorance or avidya. So, for example, if a person is having fever, he needs to bring down the temperature to a normal temperature so he can do his spiritual activity. So, he needs to use his material knowledge. So, and also it's a disease condition, right? If we try to to more and more material advancement for other sense gratification, then it is also increasing fever. So both ways there is a balance. So we always, Ishopanishads, right? It also in Ishopanishad uh, uh, kind of warns us that again avidya is a dangerous path. So avidya is a dangerous path when we start going into the path of sense enjoyment and sense gratification, but it needs to be used for our spiritual advancement so that we can make spiritual progress. We have to use our we should not misuse our material advancement, but we should use it for the real acquiring the real knowledge, that is Krishna, and kind of serving the Supreme Lord, and where we can use the material advancement for serving the Lord. So now again, uh, we talked about avidya, and we talked about all materially advanced people always try to avoid death and they want to become immortal. Can we really become immortal? The answer is yes, we can become immortal. So immortal does not mean that advancing materially and then trying to stay permanently in this material world. We need to understand the real nature of a person, the real nature of a person according to uh, a bona fide spiritual master learn and the teachings, right? We can always attain a permanent life. All living entities eternally have a spiritual body and spiritual senses. And why are we here? So we are here because our spiritual senses are uh, are in this material world, and we are actually having our material body and in the material world where our spiritual senses are covered by the material senses, and that's why we are trying to advance materially and going through the cycle of birth and death. And we have mistakenly taken this temporary place of material world, and where we are going through this repeated cycle of birth and death. But having a human body or a human form is an opportunity for us to self-realize, serve the Lord, and look at our and build our spiritual senses, and then come out of this disease of materialism. When we come out of this disease of materialism, we come out of this material world, we get we can go back to Godhead. At that point, we realize that the soul is always permanent and eternal, and we get our original form with the spiritual senses and spiritual form, and the real sense enjoyment is possible eternally in our spiritual form. So all religion and economic development, the sense gratification should aim towards attainment of devotional service. For example, medical service should be used for maintenance of the body, and all technological advancement should be used for preaching and propagation of Krishna consciousness. In conclusion, the
30
culture
seconds more.
in conclusion, spiritual knowledge necessities help us to help the body and mind to maintain the body and mind. Therefore, maintenance of body and mind is required if we want to reach our goal, that is Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Okay, bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We have now third. Om Govindarai. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes.
Are you ready now?
Yes, Mataji.
1 second. Your time starts now.
So, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pataka Swami Iti Namine Namo Acharya Padamita Krupadayine Gauri Patadamadana Gagramatarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauru Bhagavan Prasarine Nirvisheshatnyamadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Jai Shri Gurudev Jai Shri Prabhupada. So my topic is of about third question, establish in your own words with appropriate evidence from Shri Isopanisad verse purports analysis about the personal form of Lord. So here we start. The Vedic scriptures present the absolute truth in three aspects, that is, impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Of this, the personal aspect is the highest and most complete understanding of the absolute truth. Sri Isopanishad, a key Upanishadic text, provides profound insight into the transcendental nature of the Lord and supports his personal form through its verses and purports. Srila Prabhupada's lectures and the purports to Srila Isopanishad clarify this understanding, and the teaching and example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu illuminate its application in the modern age. I took Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because with discussing of my mother, she says that Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Gurudev should be there in your lecture, whatever. So I put it. So the very foundation of Sri Isopanisad rests on the premise that the Supreme Lord is
It should
omnipotent.
be in your prayer first.
Yes.
You're remembering your parents, you're not remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Where is your prayer?
I make it the prayer. I made it.
Where?
I mean,
I have the recording. It's streaming.
that
in the-
Namo Vishwadaya.
Hmm?
Sorry, Mataji.
Go ahead.
For the Ishopanishad rests on the premise that the Supreme Lord is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent, yet retains his personal form. For example, in Mantra 8, it is stated, such a person must factually know the greatest of all, who is unembodied, omniscient, beyond reproach, without veins, pure and uncontaminated. It's a self-sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling everyone's desire since time immemorial. The term unembodied, that is, Akyam, does not imply formless, but rather the transcendental nature of Lord's body. His form is spiritual, free from defects and limitation of the material body. Srila Prabhupada explains that while materialists struggle to conceive a form that is not bound by time, space, or matter, the Lord's form is eternally blissful, full of knowledge, and beyond any material contamination. That is Satchitanand. This understanding is further supported in Mantra 5, which describes the Lord as being simultaneously eminent and transcendent. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything. The Supreme Lord's ability to be present everywhere as a Paramatma while maintaining his personal form in Goloka Vrindavan is inconceivable, achintya, to the conditioned mind. However, Srila Prabhupada clarifies that this is a natural attribute of the Lord's unlimited potency. Now we come the incompleteness of the impersonalism. The personal form of Lord is often denied by impersonalist philosophies which assert that the absolute truth is formless and without attributes. Sri Ishupnishad refutes this idea by emphasizing the Lord's personal qualities and interaction with his devotees. Prabhupada often warned that impersonal conception of God leads to spiritual stagnation. Without recognizing the Lord's personal form, one cannot cultivate a loving relationship with him, which is the ultimate purpose of life. The teaching and life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exemplify the personal nature of Supreme Lord as the combined incarnation of Sri Krishna and Srimati Radharani Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Descended to establish Sankirtan Yagna, the congregational chanting of the holy names, as the highest process of self-realization. There are 5 stages, primary rasas that we all know: Santa Rasa, Dasya Rasa, Sakhya Rasa, Vatsalya, and Rasa Madhurya. And the 4 Kumaras, Hanuman, Arjun, Yashoda, and Srimati Radharani. So these are the rasas. Srila Prabhupada used several analogies to make the concept of Lord's personal form. The first analogy, that is in Mantra 5 and to Mantra 15, the sun and its energy. The words, the Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but is very near as well. He is within everything and yet is outside of everything. And Mantra 15 words, that is the sunlight, sun and its energy, which analogy is that the sunlight represents the impersonal Brahman. The heat symbolizes the Paramatma, and the sun globe is personal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here, on verse 15, O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. This is Mantra 15. And here the analogy is that the sun and its rays are directly compared to the Lord's transcendental form and the Brahman effulgence. The devotee prays to see beyond the impersonal Brahman to behold the personal form of Lord. Here, Prabhupada's explanation is that in his purport and lectures, Srila Prabhupada often explain about how the sun and its energies reveals the Lord's 3 features, that is Brahman, effulgence, Paramatma, localized expansion, Bhagavan, the personal form. He emphasized that although sunlight is experienced everywhere, its source is the sun, and ultimately the sun deity resides there. Similarly, the impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma have their source in Bhagavan. So, the impersonal Brahman effulgence is just like the sunlight, the Paramatma or the Supersoul is like the sun globe, but the real source is Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without the sun, there is no sunlight, and without the personal form of Lord, there is no Brahma or Paramatma. Here we stare about the application. This analogy helps dismantle the impersonalist views as it clearly establishes the personal form of the Lord as the source of all other manifestations, such as sunlight is not dependent on the sun, and the impersonal Brahman is not dependent as Bhagwan. So, second mantra, that is Mantra 8, the painting and the painter. Such a person, first, such a person must factually know the greatest of all, the personality of Godhead, who is unembodied, omniscient, beyond reproach, without veins, pure, uncontaminated, the self-sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling everyone's desire since time immemorial. Analogy, a painting, no matter how intricate or beautiful, is always the creation of an artist. It does not appear by accident. So the painting and painter analogy is especially relevant here. Prabhupada explains that intricate design of the universe is evidence of the supreme designer, such as a painting is evidence of an artist. Impersonal energy cannot create with intention or purpose, only person can. Here, Srila Prabhupada also explained, Prabhupada often compared the universe to be a grand painting. He explained that the intricate design of cosmos, from the precise orbits of planet to the complexity of the life, demonstrate the intelligence and skill of supreme creator. Just as a painting cannot exist without an artist, the universe cannot exist without the Supreme Lord. So here some says there is no God, yet they wondered, marvel of nature. Nature is like a painting, but a painting is not created by chance. It requires intelligence, a plan, and artist. Similarly, this universe is created by supreme artist Krishna, whose intelligence is far beyond our comprehension. And the purpose of this analogy, the analogy is used to refute impersonalist argument that deny the Lord's intelligence and personality. So I think I should take one more analogy, the machine and the operator, mantra 9 and 11. This mantra describes how knowledge that is based solely on the material world or solely on the spiritual world is incomplete and lead to ignorance. Those who engage in culture of niche science shall enter the darkest region of the ignorance. Mantra 9. Analogy. A machine cannot operate independently. It requires an operator to function. Prabhupada often likened the words to a machine and a god to its inspector, such as machine cannot function without someone to design, build, and operate it. The universe cannot function without the direction of the Supreme Person. Here, the Prabhupada explains scientists study the machine of this universe, but they forgot to inquire about the operator. A car may be very sophisticated, but without a driver, it cannot move. Similarly, the laws of the nature are the machinery, but Krishna is the driver. So there are also one and a government and the king, but I'm lacking of time. So in context of preaching, in the modern age, impersonalism and atheism dominate spiritual discourse. The Sri Shunga offers a clear antidote of emphasizing the Lord's essential personal nature. This period demonstrates that even the effulgence is secondary the Lord's personal form. Devotees should use such verses, although the elimination of personalism and joy of personal relation with Sri Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preaching through practice. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life offers a practical example of how to spread the glories of Lord's personal form. His method of chanting the holy names in public, combined with philosophical discussion, transformed the hearts of countless people. And by following his example, devotees can address the misconception of impersonalism and atheism effectively. Conclusion. Sri Isopanisad, completed by teaching of Srila Prabhupada and the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, establishes that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is a person with eternal spiritual qualities. His personal form is the source of all creation, the essence of all relationships, and the ultimate goal of life. By accepting this understanding and sharing it with others, we can experience and spread the transcendental bliss of devotional service. The Lord is not an abstract force, but the loving personality who reciprocates with his devotees, offering eternal joy and liberation. Sri Prabhupada's analogies in Sri Isopanisad serves as powerful tools for establishing the Lord's personal form. They provide practical and relatable ways to understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead is both the source of creation and intimately involved in its operation. By presenting these analogies, devotees can effectively counter impersonalist and atheistic views, inspiring others to approach the personal Lord Sri Krishna with devotion. These analogies emphasize that Krishna is not merely a concept or energy, but the Supreme, transcendental person who is the ultimate cause of all
Hare
causes.
Krishna, time up. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Mataji. I'm done. Mataji, which prayer you were saying about means I couldn't
The
get
next
it.
person, Jivesh.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Are you ready?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Your time starts. Don't you have better lighting? Turn towards the light, your face. Or not possible? It's okay. That's okay.
One
Your
minute.
time starts now.
So I'll be telling the essay on question number 2, that is explain in your own words how the process of spiritual life as given to us by Srila Prabhupada enables us to achieve a balanced program of spiritual and material knowledge. Swami Gaur Katha Ramayana Krishna 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 Swami के नाम में नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी आचार्य शेष सुंदरम प्रसाद देशता जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु श्री अद्वैत श्री औषधि हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम. So spiritual life enables us to achieve a balanced program of spiritual and material knowledge by guiding our actions and purpose in life. It offers a way to harmonize the pursuit of self-realization with the necessary maintenance of the body and mind. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has emphasized to balance both bodily and spiritual needs towards our practicing of Krishna consciousness. The culture of spiritual knowledge necessitates the help of the body and mind. Therefore, their maintenance is essential to reaching our goal. From Isopanisad, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that a conditioned soul has dual functions, maintaining the body and pursuing self-realization. Activities for social status, mental development, cleanliness, austerity, nourishment, and the struggle for existence are meant for bodily maintenance, while self-realization is executed through one's occupation as a devotee of the Lord. One must perform these two functions along parallel lines, as a conditioned soul cannot entirely give up bodily maintenance. However, the proportion of activities for maintaining the body decreases as devotional service increases. It should come at the right point, otherwise, there is a chance for occasional exhibition of worldliness. Human activities diseased by a tendency towards sense gratification are regulated in the Vedas through principles such as religion, economic development, sense gratification, and salvation. These systems aim to transform human tendencies towards avidya, ignorance, into vidya, true knowledge. Economic development is necessary to maintain the body in a sound condition. The ultimate goal is not avidya but vidya, as life is not meant for working like an ass or for culturing avidya for sense gratification. Unless religion, economic development, and sense gratification aim towards the attainment of devotional service to the Lord, they are simply different forms of nescience. In Puranas, we can find one example of Hiranyakashipu who wanted to attain deathlessness. Hiranya means gold and Kashipu means soft bed. He wanted to enjoy money and women, but still his plans were thwarted by the Lord himself. The path of Vidya is most perfectly presented in Srimad Bhagavatam, which directs human beings to inquire into the absolute truth. Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu provides a guaranteed path to achieving the aim of Vidya by focusing on devotional service to the Lord. Sri Isopanishad teaches that one must know both Sambhuti, the personality of Godhead, and Vinasha, the temporary material manifestation, side by side. Knowing the material manifestation alone cannot save us, as Sri Isopanishad herein warns that we must not follow this path which leads to death. The great sages and saints of India have taught this balanced program of spiritual and material knowledge, ensuring that human intelligence is not misused for sense gratification. They emphasize that while bodily maintenance is necessary, it should not overshadow the higher purpose of self-realization. This approach aligns with the principle of making the best use of a bad bargain. Just as a patient recovering from a disease must maintain a normal temperature of 98.6 degrees, humans must balance material and spiritual pursuits to achieve overall well-being. In conclusion, the process of spiritual life equips us with the knowledge to balance material and spiritual life effectively. Sri Isopanishad, Srimad Bhagavatam, the teachings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and the great sages of India illustrate the importance of this balance. The central purpose of balancing is the attainment of transcendental service to the personality of Godhead. Now, coming to the examples from my own life, when I didn't had my job, then I realized how this balance is important. Previously, I used to think that only performing devotional service I can be happy, which is actually not recommended, which we have understood now. Whatever we do to sustain our body is directly related to practicing Krishna consciousness. If bodily needs are met, then only a conditioned soul can practice it in a sound way. And coming to devotees from ISKCON, I've seen devotees having health concerns trying to extend for services or for their material duties, which actually backfired in a negative way, collapsing their health too much. Incidents like this made them realize how this balance plays a key role. And preaching application. So when we used to go to preach in college, normally we'll tell the boys to start chanting one round. So many would ask if they can chant this much rounds, to which we used to reply, first you need to prioritize your responsibilities, then you can increase it gradually. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
It's only less than 6 minutes. Okay, anyway. Next, Disha.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Are you ready?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, just
Your time starts.
1 sec, Mataji. I'll just open my talk. 1 sec. Yes, Mataji. I'm ready now.
Your time starts now.
Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjanashalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishnaprishtaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swamniti Namini Namacharya Padaya Nitaya Kripapadayani Gaurakatha Damadaya Nakargram Tarani. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishnaprishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamniti Namini Namaste Saraswate Devi गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. I'll be speaking on the third topic, establish the personal form of the Lord. The conditioned soul has 4 defects, one of which is imperfect senses. That is, our senses are limited and defective. For example, we can neither hear sounds too low nor too loud. Neither can we see too far nor too close. In the dark, we cannot even see our own hands in front of our eyes. But that doesn't mean they don't exist. We just don't have the night vision to see it. Similarly, we should not take it for granted that because we cannot see God with our eyes, there exists no personal form. We just don't have the spiritual vision to perceive the transcendental form of the Lord. The Supreme Lord is not formless, rather, he has his own transcendental and eternal form. His personal feature as Bhagwan is described in the Brahma Samhita as Satchidananda Vigraha, where Sat means eternity, Chit means knowledge, Ananda means bliss, and Vigraha means form. That is, the Supreme Lord's form is full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. His form is neither like the material forms which are made of bone and skin, nor is the Supreme Lord embodied, which means that there is no difference between his body and soul. His mind, body, and he himself are all one and the same. Since the Supreme Lord's transcendental body is completely different from our mundane material bodies, he is sometimes described as formless. This means that he has no form like ours and that he is devoid of a form we can conceive of. He is Satchidananda Vigraha, and this Bhagwan realization is the ultimate realization of the Supreme Lord. The Paramatma aspect of the Supreme Lord as Supersoul, Antaryami, is his expansion within every living entity. He witnesses everything that is going on and awards us the results of our actions as karma phala. Paramatma realization is realization of his Sat and Chit features, his aspects of eternity and knowledge. The Brahman feature, effulgence from the Lord, is the impersonal aspect of absolute truth. Realization of impersonal Brahman is realization of his Sat feature or his aspect of eternity. Both Brahman and Paramatma realization of the absolute truth are partial realizations. Perfect knowledge means knowing Krishna as the root and Brahman and Paramatma as the branches. When Lord Krishna appeared on earth 5,000 years ago, he displayed his full manifestation as the personality of Godhead through his various activities. In his childhood, he killed many powerful demons such as Agasur, Bakasur, and Shaktasur. He lifted Govardhan Hill without ever practicing weightlifting. He danced with the gopis without social restriction and without reproach. The Lord is always engaged in transcendental loving activities with his spiritual associates in various relationships of neutrality, servitorship, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. So, how can the Lord not have a form when he is eternally engaged in pastimes with his pure devotees? There are many evidences from Sri Isopanisad which clearly establish the personal form of the Lord. In the invocation, he is addressed as Purnam. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. So, if he was formless or anything less than his creation, he would not be Purnam. This description of completeness of the Lord indicates us that he has a form. Further, in the fourth mantra, Srila Prabhupada in the translation states, although fixed in his abode, the personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind and can overcome all others running. The powerful demigods cannot approach him. He controls those who supply air and rain. He surpasses all in excellence. This mantra mentions many details in support of his personal features, clearly suggesting that the absolute truth is ultimately the absolute person. He has a personal form. Mantra 5 describes more transcendental activities of the Lord. Tad ejati tan naijati. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. Tad dure tad va antike. He is far away, but he is very near as well. Such contradictions also prove the inconceivable potencies of the Lord. Because we cannot see the Lord with our eyes, we tend to assume that he has no personal existence. But this statement that Lord is far away yet very near from Sri Isopanishad refutes this assumption. In Mantra 8, many more characteristics of the Supreme Lord are highlighted. Saparagyach churam akyam avranam. Shukram is omnipotent. Every part of his body can do the work of the other senses. He can walk with his hands, eat with his eyes, accept things with his legs, etc. Akim is unembodied, which means that there's no difference between his body and his soul. Avranam is beyond reproach. Further, the verse also describes the Lord as omniscient, without veins, pure, and uncontaminated, Shuddham. He is compared to the sun in this regard, as the sun remains pure even after extracting moisture from the dirtiest places. The Lord also remains purified always. This mantra also describes Lord as Paribhu, the greatest of all. No one is greater than or equal to him. All such qualities clearly establish the personal form of the Lord. The Lord, being omnipotent and omniscient, can transfer matter into spirit and spirit into matter. The Lord descends into the material world in the form of Archa Vigraha. This worshipable form for living entity, his worshipable form for living entities to engage in the service of the Lord. This deity form of the Lord is installed in temples by authorized acharyas, a form made of earth, stone, or wood. This form is non-different from the original form of the Lord, which is of Lord Krishna. The Supreme Lord is full of inconceivable potencies, and he can convert and utilize his energies at his own will. Mantra 16 describes Supreme Lord as Pushan, meaning maintainer, and Ekarshe, meaning the primeval philosopher. So, how can he who is described as the maintainer and the primeval philosopher be impersonal? Supreme Lord cannot be impersonal, he has a personal form. With all the repeated evidences given in the Sri Isopanishad regarding the characteristics, qualities, and activities, one is sure to be convinced of the personal form of the Lord. In Mantra 15, a prayer is offered to the Lord in which a devotee prays to remove the golden effulgence, Brahmajyoti, coming from his personal form, to reveal himself to his pure devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay. That is Disha over. Akarshak Sri Hari. Prabhu, are you ready? Akarshak Sri Hari Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, ba. Are you ready?
Yes, yes.
Okay, 1 second. Your time starts now.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण कृष्ण स्वामी नमो चारे पदान्विताय कृपा पदाने कोलकाता दामोदर नमो विष्णु कृष्ण कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत दीनां नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी परिचारिण निर्विशेष शून्यवादी प्रसाद से कृष्ण पवित्रानंद श्री अद्वैत भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे हरे. So I am going to present my essay on third topic. Like the rays without the sun, realization without the personal form of Lord is nothing but a shadow of completeness. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada comments, right, that all forms of incompleteness are due to the incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. Hare Krishna. I welcome all of you to this essay presentation where I will establish the personal form of Lord using the evidence from the Sri Isopanisad, its purpose, analogy, and the lecture of Srila Prabhupada. So let's begin with the invocation mantra. So it is in said that Om Purnamada Purnam Idam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. This meaning of this sloka is that the personality of God is perfect and complete, and because He is perfectly complete, completely perfect, all the emanation from Him, such as this phenomenon world, are perfectly equipped as complete whole. So just see that this world has some form which emanate from the Lord. If he is anywhere less than this creation, so he could not be complete, right? And also Isopanisad is saying that the personality of God is perfect and complete. This means that he has form, not that he is only formless. Otherwise, he cannot be perfectly complete. Similarly, if we will go in mantra 4, then it is said that although he is fixed in a word, the personality of God is swifter than the mind and can overcome all other runnings. This hints that God is both personal and he has also form. And in this purpose, we also see that he has also doing some pastimes, and he also killings many demons in his childhood, and he has so many pastime with his, and also has a relationship with his parents and other relatives. Similarly, if we will go in mantra 5, then it's said that tad ajati tad na jayati tad dure tad va andike tad antar asya sarvasya tad usarvasya bahetam. This means that the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, walks and doesn't walks. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything. The contradiction, right, given here proves that the inconceivable potency of the Lord. If he walks and if he doesn't walk, this clear indication that, right, that the supreme beings doesn't have the form, then how is walking? If he has form, then he can walk, right? It's very common, means sense that, and it can be, means prove very beautifully in this purport of mantra 5, which Prabhupada given that appearance of the Narsim Dev, where he said that, means when a child Prahlad Maharaj was present in the front of his father, his father asked him, "Where is your God?" Prahlad replied that God reside everywhere, and the father angrily asked, "Your God was within one of the pillar of the palace?" The child said yes. At once, the atheist king shattered the pillar in front of the pieces, and the Lord instantly appeared as the Narsim, the half lion and half man and half lion incarnation, and kill the atheist king. Thus, the Lord is within everything, and he appear in the form, right? It's not like that he is formless. So we cannot celebrate Narsimdev also, right? So the from here we can also this story proof that means God is present everywhere and he has form. It's not like he is coming a formless, and means, but means we say that God is Nirakar. So what happened? The word with Nirakar means it is very really and mostly misunderstood. It's said that God doesn't possess the form, right? But you just miss the one word that he doesn't possess the material form, but he has the transcendental form, and which can be prove very nicely in mantra 8. It is the word, there are two words very important. Akhyam means unembodied, and Asanviram means without veins. Actually, this means that he has his own transcendental form, which is not at all similar to the forms of mundane world. The means the anatomy of the material world must have some mechanical construction like veins and so forth. But the transcendental body of the Supreme Lord has nothing like veins. You know, it is clearly stated that he is unembodied, which means that there is no difference between his body and his soul. And actually, we can also, means get a knowledge from the Brahm Samhita that, Isvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigra Anadi Radhir Govindam Sarva Karana Karanam. The word here Satchid Anand Vigra means that he is the eternal form fully presenting transcendental existence, knowledge and bliss, as he doesn't require a separate body or mind, so we do in the material existence. The Vedic literature clearly states that the Lord's transcendental body is completely different from the ours. Therefore the Lord has forms which is not at all similar to the form of mundane world. Moreover, the absolute truth is realized as Brahman, Paramatma, and finally Bhagwan, the personality of Godhead. So, what is this Brahman? So, Brahman refers to the Brahmjyoti, that is Krishna effulgence. So, what is it really? Brahman or Brahmjyoti is nicely described in mantra of the Mukund Upanishad in 2.2.10 as in the spiritual realm beyond the material covering is the unlimited Brahman effulgence, which is free from the material contamination. The effulgent white light is understood by the transcendentalist to be the light of all lights. In the realm, there is no need of the sunshine, moonshine, fire, electricity, etc. And who realized this Brahman realization? The Brahman is, means realized very easily, and it is perceived by beginners, especially like Gyanis and those who Sankhya yogis who analyze on the 24 factors of the material creation. And if we will go ahead, then what is Paramatma? So Paramatma is refers to the super soul residing within the heart of every living being, within every atom of the creation, or especially it is the plenary expansion of the Vishnu Tattva, which we collectively call Purusha Avatar. So which include first Shirodaksai Vishnu, which is present principal deities of everyone like Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and he is present in each and every individual living entity. Second, Garbhodaksai Vishnu is the collective super soul for all living entities. Kandodaksai Vishnu, which is the creator of this universe. And what is who realized this? The Paramatma realized especially by the yogis, who is means superior to, you can say, Yanis. Then ultimately Bhagwan. So what is the definition of Bhagwan? The Bhagwan refers to the personal form of the absolute truth. That is the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna. And what is it? The Bhagwan realization is the ultimate realization of absolute truth. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.7, where the Lord Krishna says that he is the ultimate concept of absolute truth. Mata prataram nanyat. Therefore, Krishna is the source of Brahm Jyoti as well as the pervading Paramatma. And Krishna here, addressed as Punsa, means the ultimate maintainer. And who realize this, especially Bhaktas, the devotee of the Krishna, who are superior to all yogis, philosophers, and ordinary fruitive workers. And actually, there are so many analogy used by Prabhupada, and especially to understand this absolute truth realization. So he mentioned in Mantra 4 that his potency are compared to the heat and light that emanates from the fire. Although situated in one place, the fire can distribute its lights and heat for some distances. Similarly, the absolute personality of Godhead, although fixed in his transcendental abode, can diffuse his different energy everywhere. So, in conclusion, if you will say, Sri Upanishad and Srila Prabhupada's purport and lecture point toward the direction of the Bhagwan features, as it is the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. Where Bhagavad Gita also confirmed that Lord Krishna is the ultimate truth, and prayer mentioned in the verse 15 especially, it is also saying the same thing, that the removal of Haranyamay Patra means the dazzling covering of the Lord, so that we can perceive the real face of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. When one
Time
realizes
up. Uh,
personality of God is Sri Krishna in full potency after the removal of Hiranmaya Patra. One realizes Vasudeva Sarvamiti, means the Lord Krishna, who is known as Vasudeva, everything, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Hare Krishna.
Perfect, correct. Then, okay. Now, thank you. Now, next, Sumedha. Sumedha, are you ready? Yes, Sumedha. You're chatting. Okay, you're ready. Okay. So, I'm going to start your time. Okay. I will be joining in another phone into. Okay. Abhishek or Abhishek, are you ready? The Sumedha is joining in another phone. Anyway, she's joining.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Sumedha. Are you ready, ma?
Yeah, Mataji.
Okay, all the best. I'm starting now. I'm starting your time.
Mataji,
Your time
you
start.
should switch on the video.
Yeah, if you're ready, you can switch on the video. That is a proper way of presenting.
Okay.
But if you cannot, if you have issues, then it's okay. You
No,
already have some network issues generally.
no,
Okay,
Mataji, I
ma.
connected to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Your time starts. Wait. 1, 2, 3. Your time starts now.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnaprishtaye Bhutale Srimate Jayapataye Swaminityanne Namacharya Vidayanathaya Pradayane Gauragatarandaya Nagaravantarne Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnaprishtaye Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminityanne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vicharne Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Bhasha Deshtarne Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadavrish Vasati Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna, everyone. I have taken topic 3. So it is established in your own words with appropriate evidences from Sri Isopanisad versus purpose analogies that the Lord's form is personal. So God is personal and has a form. The Veda says that God can take any form he likes. For example, he appears as Lord Narsimha, half man, half lion. He takes the form of a boar, Varaha, and also the form of a fish, Matsya incarnation. In Vaikuntha, he has 400 form. As Krishna and as Lord Rama, he is in his 200 form. For different pastimes, he has different forms. We ourselves, as parts and parcels of the Lord, have a form. Then why won't the Lord who created us have a form? If we look around ourselves, we can find all living beings has a form. I have a form, animals have a form, fish has a form, trees have a form, even little insects has a form. So how can the Supreme Lord who created us be formless? So Srila Prabhupada in his books and lectures have explained with spiritual references that God is personal. He emphasizes that the real purpose of human life is to re-establish our relationship with God and to return to the spiritual world. God can also be realized in his impersonal form, as impersonal Brahman. Vedas also say that God can be perceived as impersonal Brahman. Impersonal Brahman is the effulgence which emanates from the Lord, from the form of the Lord, which is also called as Brahma Jyoti. So many spiritual practitioners consider Brahmajyoti or God's personal rays to be the ultimate reality. They are called as impersonalists. They desire to merge into these transcendental rays upon leaving their body. But these rays are coming from the Lord only when these impersonalists gain more knowledge and get purified. When they can, then they can penetrate the transcendental rays and enter into the spiritual planet where they are able to directly see the Lord and serve Him. So, realization of the Supreme Lord as impersonal Brahman is incomplete or partial realization of the Lord. But when we understand that God is personal and He has a form, then we can completely understand and realize Him. So, Isopanisad proves that God is personal. So, from Isopanisad mantra 4, although fixed in his, it is stated that although the Lord is fixed in his abode, the personality of God is swifter than the mind and can overcome all others running. The powerful demigods cannot approach him, although in one place he controls those who supply the air and rain. He surpasses all in excellence. Here it is said that the Lord is swifter than the mind and overcomes all others running. Anyone who runs has a form. A formless person cannot run. So the Lord, who is the fastest runner, has to be a person. Ishopanishad Mantra 15 says that devotees pray to the Lord to remove the effulgent rays so that they can see his beautiful face. You and I have a face because we have form. Similarly, unless God is personal and have form, how can he have a face? The verse establishes that the Supreme Lord is personal. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. Again, in Ishopanishad Mantra 16, prayer is offered to the Lord to remove the transcendental rays, to see the Lord's most auspicious form, which is full of bliss. This verse explains that the form of the Lord is full of bliss. Devotees experience unlimited happiness when they see the beautiful form of the Lord. In Goloka Vrindavan, devotees are eager to always see the Lord. The gopis, the topmost devotees of the Lord, curse the Creator for creating eyelids because the eyelids would block the vision of Krishna. So the God is personal and he enjoys many pastimes with the Lord. Krishna enjoys different pastimes with his devotees. He relishes different rasas, dasya, sakhya, vatsalya, madhurya, and shanta in the spiritual world. He has his cowherd friends, parents, cows, and above all, gopis, with whom he enjoys madhurya rasa. Unless the Lord has a form, he cannot enjoy these transcendental rasas. Srila Prabhupada says that you and I can also participate in the Lord's pastimes. For that, we have to purify ourselves by chanting the holy names of the Lord and return back to the spiritual world. In the kingdom of God, we get a spiritual body and get an opportunity to associate with the Lord and his countless devotees. There, everyone serves the Lord and enjoys with the Lord. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Just 5 minutes. Okay. Next, Abhishek. Abhishek Sinha. Are you there? Okay. So Santushnitai Prabhu is in another batch and he is doing here. Sakshi is also there in another batch and she's doing here. Just she is attending here. And also our Mataji, maybe she left. She is also there. So okay. So whoever is left out has to do tomorrow. Sakshi, are you doing today? Or have you prepared anything?
Hare Krishna, no ma'am, I haven't prepared yet.
Okay, okay. You're anyway in that, you have to be regular attendees there. No excuses. I'll communicate with Prabhu. And that is Sakshi, Santushnita, you're all in the fag end, okay, in Bhakti Shastri. Bhagavad Gita is the biggest portion. And you have covered it there, then you should stick back with Prabhuji. You can attend here, there's nothing wrong. But be in the process. With Prabhu, with another 2 books are there, no? In Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion. So without missing, you attend his class. How are you managing your chanting? I don't know. If you are doing both, but you can be muted here and you can chant if you have more rounds to finish in the night. Anybody left out here? Okay. Abhishek has to be followed up. Okay, that's it. Rest, whoever it is tomorrow will communicate in the group and whoever is left out will do tomorrow and we'll finish the open book test tomorrow. And then next week we will prepare for the closed book test. And next weekend will be online test. It will be very elaborate, but it will be from anywhere from Ishopanishad. But nothing based on memory based question will be there. If you, for example, asking the meaning of a Sanskrit word or remembrance based will not be there. Understanding discovering certain knowledge-based things. This will be that. So it will be multiple choice question. So you won't have much trouble in answering the questions. But 100% you should have studied the book, maybe another time, then you can answer all the questions properly. But if you have not studied properly or not been attentive in the class, then there is possibility that you may not succeed. So you need to go through once more for the closed book exam. So I'm giving you next week, not just to be there without doing anything and come back and say that, okay, not prepared or whatever. You're supposed to prepare and you're supposed to give the exam on Saturday. Timing is fixed. I'll informing you the time on the Saturday timings. I think it will be the same 9 o'clock in the night, mostly, where you will all sit and you will log in, and we'll have a rehearsal in between to conduct the exam successfully. A model test or sample test will be given with some 3-4 questions, which you that is to check your login. So maybe Friday or something we need to get in, or Saturday we can do the mock test and Sunday can be original test, or Friday will be the mock test and Saturday will be the original test. So coming weekend will 100% be your closed book exam. And it will be multiple choice question. Within the particular duration, you need to answer a bunch of questions. So surely, even though it is a closed book question, even if you try to open the book or refer somewhere and do, then you will lose on the timing, because you have to finish within that 45 minutes, 40 minutes or 30 minutes exam. Within the 30 minutes, you need to cover around 20-25 questions. Then it is not possible to refer. If you try to refer, then anyway, you will be losing on the timing. The exam will automatically finish. It's an automated system, so it will automatically finish. So you have to be properly educated before you come to the class. No referring. It's really a closed book test. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for whoever prepared and came today. And whoever is left out will do tomorrow. Abhishek and Ayan Mandal is traveling, so he will be doing tomorrow. So like this, 2-3 people, whoever is left out will do tomorrow, and we are finishing the open book test tomorrow. Thank you. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Any questions?
Mataji,
Yeah.
which prayer I just missed?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't. I switched on the timing for you. And I have an Excel sheet in which I just assess, and for prayers it is empty. So you need to check the YouTube video to find out. I will share the link in the group. You check whether you did the prayer or not.
Which, but that Prabhupada Pranam Mantra, Guru Maharaj Pranam Mantra, that
Whatever
one?
it is, you told the question when I said time starts now. What you did is you told this is my question, and you started answering directly. I think so.
I don't know. I
You
did
forgot
Pranam
maybe.
Mantra.
You forgot. Forgetting error is human. That is an introduction to Isopanisad. Prabhupada is telling to error is human, and nobody can be perfect. First, we should be having a broad-mindedness to accept. I'm also not perfect. You are also not. Sometimes we may tend to forget. Out of tension maybe, or whatever. Or maybe you didn't forget, I didn't notice. It may be whatever it is, both of us have to check the YouTube, because I have the marks for the prayer, the timings, the relevance with the question, and I'll tell you so many. The quotes, all small marks, and at last only grading we am going to give, no marks. No marking system. This is totally different from your regular academic system assessment. Here, if you don't know, your marks will not be reduced, but rather you'll be corrected. Very little mark will be reduced. Though it's not based on memory, it is based on understanding of the subject. This is what we are expecting. You should be able to understand. You should be able to preach. This is what is the test for. It is not to test your memory and capability and ability and skills and knowledge. The sincerity is tested mainly. So you're sincere in coming and attending, you're sincere in preparation. All these are very important. Not spontaneously talking without preparing. These are, and structure, I told you, introduction, body, conclusion. Some of them have stuck to it, some of them have just spoken like that. So that all you need to check. The exam, there is no feedback. I'm sorry. Hare Krishna. You need to go and check. Okay. Anyway, please pray. First, you should understand that by my capability, nothing is possible. I may be a great orator. I may have many skills. So displaying our skill or exhibiting our skill is not the purpose here. We pray to the Lord and get trained to be a good preachers. So the prayer is not a formality. Even though I'm giving you 30 seconds or 1 minute or 40 seconds, the prayer should be sincere and intense. Even you can just chant Jai Pataka Swami Guru Maharaj ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, and then Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki Jai, Panchatattva ki Jai, and then Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Clearly, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And 1 second you pray to the Lord to inspire you, to bless you. That is, you're speaking based on the mercy of the Supreme Lord and the devotees. Not that formality, you do some prayer and half of it you swallow. Not good. However, capability you have after that, you would have had a great presentation, great oration, great talking. That greatness will not be useless, like Karna. He had a lot of ability. But in the right time, he didn't come in health. Because Guru is not pleased. So that 1 second means 1 second we can pray sincerely. I have to do this. So formality, I will blabber something. Not in that attitude. So that is very important. As far as prayer is concerned, if the time is given 30 seconds, you should do the justice to that 30 seconds. Or 1 minute. Even when Guru Maharaj and all comes for parikrama, they will totally give 3 minutes to speak, 4 minutes to speak only. Totally. Because there are many speakers. There will be 10 speakers, 10 sannyasis sitting there. So Guru Maharaj will also get only slot 3-4 minutes or 5 minutes. There will be somebody telling that Maharaj, your time is over. They'll write in a paper and push it like this. So there also Guru Maharaj will do a quick prayer, 1 second. Need not be very elaborate prayer, but at the same time that 1 second means 1 second should be sincere. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, all of you did very nicely, but anyway, let us see the assessment result. I'll give you later. Hare Krishna. You check out, Pa. Maybe I thought that you forgot. Anyway, let's check it out. The YouTube video will know. Okay, Hare Krishna. Good night. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patithanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo
वैष्णवेभ्यो
namo
नमो
नमः.
नमः। जय
जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय,
जय
गुरु महाराज की जय।